Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Elle and I am learning to be a seamstress. Today is a little bit different from what I've done before. I am attempting to make a Marilyn Monroe dress for a Halloween party. So to put things into context, today is Monday and Halloween is Saturday, and I'm currently in the middle of moving house and packing up my house, and my whole sewing station is meant to be packed up by now. So stupid time to decide to make a Halloween costume. So I have about one evening, maybe 2 evenings tops that I can dedicate to this, but we're gonna give it a go. So this is the dress that I'm trying to make. So it's not the standard like blowing up the skirt Marilyn Monroe dress that you all think of, but it is still quite a famous dress, which was from the Call Me Madam premiere. Have I got that right? I hope so. First things first, I'm working kind of like on the hoof. Is that off the hoof? I don't know if that's saying or not. I am just going to give it a go without a pattern, or maybe using some of my patterns that I have and like piece them together. So yesterday I went to the fabric shop, and it wasn't even yesterday, it was last week, in Liverpool when I went there for the weekend, and I got some Duchess satin. Super nice. So the Duchess satin they had that was really thick and would have been the best for the project was about £9 a metre. So I decided that £8.99 or whatever it was too expensive, because there's a very high probability that this dress will either not get completed or look terrible. So I bought their cheaper Duchess satin, which was £3.99, and I got 2.5 metres. So really lovely, like champagne colour. Still heavier than like a really cheap satin. It is still a Duchess satin, which is what I need to create that fitted bodice. And I know she wears gloves. I'm obviously not going to make gloves. I won't be able to get gloves in the same colour as this. So who knows about that bit. But it is the bodice that I need to try and figure out first. And then it's got that sash around the top of it. Anyway, you're going to get bored of this me chatting thing. So let's just go straight into it and try and make a Marilyn Monroe dress. So first of all, I taped on to my mannequin the shape of the bodice that I wanted, because I was going to drape directly onto my mannequin to make this bodice. Please note, this is the first time I've ever done this. I watched like one YouTube video on how to drape. So this is me giving it my best shot. This first piece is going to be the front center bodice, and it needs to be on the princess seam, which is like directly down, I guess, the middle of the nipple, down the front of the chest. Working with the princess seam means that you're really going to be able to get the curve of the breast and make sure that the top is really fitted to your form. The next piece is going to be the front side bodice piece. So there's 2 pieces on the front, 2 pieces on the back. So I'm just getting another piece of muslin or like random fabric and pinning it to that princess seam again, because they're going to join, the side front and the center front are going to join on that princess seam, and then making sure that it goes all the way around to the side. I'm snipping up the bottom because it makes it easier to manipulate the fabric around like the curves if there is some give at the bottom like that. Wow, I really sound like I know what I'm talking about, but I definitely don't. So I'm cutting it to the right size. I know that I only need this bodice to be going to the waist. So I'm basically showing how my side front and my center front are going to fit together on that princess seam, and that orange line there is where I'm going to sew. So once I've cut them to size, which is what I'm doing now, making sure they all pin together, I am going to move on to the back. So I'm basically doing the same as what I did on the front. I'm just getting that center back bodice piece draped onto the form, onto the mannequin. And then we're going to do the same for the side back bodice piece. We're going to drape it onto the mannequin. I think the back is a lot easier because there aren't as many curves to have to deal with. And make sure that they connect just there on that orange line like we did on the front. So I look like really bad. This is starting to feel like I'm on sewing bee, and in a bad way, because I just feel like I'm under immense time pressure. But anyway, Eleanor, stop complaining, Eleanor. I cut out the bits that I draped into my lining fabric, which is just some random white thick-ish fabric that I found. And I did the half. And it seems okay apart from this massive gape here. Oh my God, I'm not even wearing a bra. Instead of redraping it, I probably will do... This is going to be terrible to watch. It's going to look like I'm having a mental breakdown. I probably will add a dart instead, which is not the right thing to do, but it is under the time constraints. But first of all, I'm pretty happy with everything else in the fit, so I'm going to make the other side. Now, I'm pretty sure I should have cut the front panel on the fold. But that's fine, actually, because this is the lining, so I can do the outside on the fold. I'll continue with the lining, and then I will actually put it on my body and see how it goes. Pray for me. So, I've got it on, and I think it's too big in the bust and too tight at the back. So I'm going to add some small panels in the back. As I said, this is the lining. And then I'm going to have to add a dart there and a dart there. Never been this naked on YouTube before. Okay, dart added here and here. Sorry, I realised my phone cut out halfway through that previous video, but not much I can do about that now. So I am cutting out the pieces into my Duchess satin and I'm sewing them together. You might want to ask me why I made it too small. I think my mannequin was too small, and clearly I hadn't checked that at the beginning of the process, but we live and we learn. So I'm going to attach my lining, right sides together, with my outer piece on top. And then I'm going to go over the top and flip it. I think... Oh wait, first I'm going to press those seams because I think otherwise they'll be quite clunky, especially the darts as well. Sorry, this is literally the worst video I've ever filmed, but as I mentioned, we're in a rush. After sewing it together, I then clipped into the seam allowances on this bodice top because I wanted it to sit really nicely after I'd flipped it out, especially around that curve. After doing that, I then understitched the seam allowance to the bodice lining. So I sewed all the way down there so that when you wear it, you don't see the lining peeping out the top and it's nice and hidden and flat. So here it is. I'm pretty happy with it, although it does feel like it's taken me so long. Okay, so it's definitely like the neckline isn't equal on each side. That's totally my fault. With this dress, I think it's going to be fine, so I'm going to have a sash over the top, but I shouldn't have done that. I'm pretty happy. Not happy with that. It doesn't look horrendous though. Looking at that footage now, I think it definitely looks horrendous. That neckline is awful, so I did go back and unpick it. So now I'm laying out my skirt blocks onto my fabric. I need to elongate it because this dress is very long, and I'm going to sew those darts in as well. Okay, so it's been about 4 hours since I started. I fixed the neckline on the bodice so it's more even. I cut out my skirt blocks and I've put in my darts. Obviously, I draped the top and I used my skirt block for the skirt. So I probably will need to have a play around because they might not slot together. So I'm going to sew my front skirt, my 2 back skirt pieces, and then I'm going to lay it on top of my bodice to see if they match up before I put the zip in. I don't even know if I have a zip. I didn't even think that far ahead. We'll see. Let's do this bit. Oh my God, I need to go to bed. It is like 11 p.m. Here we go, sewing the bodice to the skirt. I did actually screw this up, so I had to unpick it and do it again, but I didn't film it. Here it is, the final product in all its glory. Now it's time to add a zip. I did find like a peach coloured zip, so I thought that would be fine with this champagne coloured satin, and I'm going to put it in. So I've put the zip in. So now I just need to close the back seam at the bottom here, try it on and see and hope the fit works. This actually was just a sneak preview I sent my friend, but you can see that it does fit and I'm really happy with it so far. Okay, so I've tried the dress on, I'm happy with it. It actually fits, I can't believe it that I've managed to achieve that in a short amount of time. The front still looks a bit pointy, but that's okay because we're covering it with that sash that I spoke of earlier, which is why I'm sat on the floor. So I measured around my bust, which is around 36.5 inches, but I'm going to cut the piece 38 inches because we're going to need some seam allowance to sew it in a loop. I'm going to cut it about this thick. How am I going to do it? So it needs to be, I'll have another look at the picture for reference, but I think it needs to be like that all the way around. So I'm going to make basically a loop by, I'm just going to think about it. I've got my fabric on the floor and I'm going to cut, got quite a lot of fabric to play with. So I'm going to cut the strip and see if I can make it work. So I cut a length of fabric, which was the circumference of my bust, which I told you about, plus a bit of ease and the seam allowance of 38 inches. And I did it 12 inches high because I want it to be 6 inches deep or long, whatever. So I'm going to do it 12 because I'm going to sew it right sides together down the side and turn it out. So it'll be like this, I think. Then I'm going to make it into a loop. Then I'm going to attach it probably just by hand. Jeffrey, what's wrong? So I've pinned the sash where I want it to be and I've tried it on and I'm happy with it. So I will be hand sewing that to it. It is very much like a fishtail at the moment that I can't really move my legs, so I won't be able to dance very much. So I'm going to unpick a little bit up and I'm going to make it a side slit, which might not be accurate, but it will be better for me. So I also made a belt out of the remaining fabric, which you can see here. And now I'm just going to hand sew the sash onto the top of the bodice. And here she is. I am so happy with it. I just need my gloves to arrive and my wig, and then I will be able to show you everything all together. It is Sunday morning. It is the day after the Halloween party. I feel pretty ropey, but anyway, the dress was a hit. I'm super happy with it. I am gonna show you it now. I realize now that I probably didn't need to make such a fitted bodice, which was obviously the most time consuming part of making the dress, because it had that sash over the top of it that would have hidden that hid the bodice front. So I could have made an easier job for myself. However, I would like to remove the sash for future wears and wear it with that lovely tight bodice, and I think I'll shorten the dress maybe to about knee length, and I think it's just quite a nice cocktail dress. The theme of the party I haven't even mentioned was Marilyn and Elvis. So my boyfriend went as Hawaiian Elvis. The easiest and cheapest of all the Hawaiian costumes, and obviously I went as the Call Me Madam Marilyn. It was so much fun, like walking around the pub and the party with like 10 Marilyn Monroes and like 5 Elvises. It was excellent fun. Sam, I'm filming!
Can you get me a towel?
Classic Sam interrupting me. Yeah, so all in all, it was definitely a challenge, one that I really enjoyed. Next time, maybe I won't put myself onto such a crazy time constraint, especially in the middle of moving house, which is why everything is everywhere. I am going to be off YouTube for a while because I'm going on holiday next week for a week, and then I'm fully moving into my new flat, and I'm going to have to put my sewing machine away.
I'm so worried about like it getting broken in the anyway, let's not talk about that. But if you enjoyed today's video, please like, subscribe, comment, let me know if you want me to do another one. I really enjoyed it, and I'd love to pick another famous iconic dress and or outfit of any sort and try and replicate it. If you think that'd be a cool idea, let me know. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and happy Halloween.